Greetings, dear ones. I hope each and every one of you, if you're a Christian, is having a happy Lent. And I'm not sure if there are any Muslims that watch my videos, but just in case, Ramadan Mubarak. Hope you have a happy and safe Ramadan. I have many fond memories of Ramadan from when I was a Muslim. I remember doing the Taraweeh prayer. Taraweeh is basically a prayer that's only done in Ramadan. And so the Quran is separated into 30 sections or chunks. They're called Jews, Juz, not the Jews. That's a different Jews. There are 30 Jews, Juz, or 30 sections in the Quran, and one Juz is read every single day. And by the end of the 30th day, you will have completed the Quran. You will have recited the entire thing. It's just a sunnah, though. It's not a tradition. So, um, but I had a blast, even though I had no idea what the Imam was saying when he was reciting the Quran in Arabic. And it can only be recited in Arabic, it can't be recited in any other language. Uh, but yeah, whatever he was saying, it sounded nice. But the thing is, with fasting, it's done by all three of the Abrahamic faiths. It's done in Judaism. What's that? What's it called? Yom Kippur or something like that. And Christianity, we fast in Lent, and Muslims, of course, fast during Ramadan. But you see, with Lent, at least, it seems like some people just waste the opportunity. You know what I mean? It's like someone fasts during Lent, but when Lent is over, they're not any different at all. They've learned absolutely nothing. And the only thing that has happened to them during Lent is that they get tired and hungry and thirsty. That's it. They gain no tangible benefit and they feel nothing in the once the season of Lent is over, they just go back to their sins. And so there are many Lenten Christians, if you can, well, they probably aren't even Christians to be perfectly honest with you. Um, but yeah, they just fast during Lent, but the other 11 months of the year they live a completely carnal lifestyle. And Islam has that problem as well with the so-called Ramadan Muslims, but I'm not here to bash Islam. In Probably Judaism has its own fair share of nominalism as well, especially if they're a Reformed Jewish person as opposed to an Orthodox Jew. But you see, when when a fast is started for morally pure reasons to please God, when the fast begins, the spiritual heart awakens. It really comes alive. And every single thing you do is multiplied by like, who knows, like 5 or 10 times because this is a season that matters to God. Because Jesus fasted for 40 days when he was in the wilderness being tempted by Satan. And he was living with the wild animals that were present at that time. Um, Yeah, so that's the reason why Christians, especially Catholics, but you don't have to be a Catholic to celebrate Lent. I'm not a Catholic and I celebrate Lent. I fast. I'm fasting from coffee right now. That's the my Lenten sacrifice. I'm giving it up to the glory of God. So, yeah, the first few days were really, really brutal. But now, after I've gotten through the first 3 or 4 days, it's really not difficult at all. So you just have to fight through the pain, and it eventually it'll become easy for you. So, but a lot of people that celebrate Lent, it's always like the same questions year after year. Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to brush my teeth? Am I allowed to have sex with my spouse? Am I allowed to, just am I allowed to play video games? Am I allowed to do this? It's just, it's like a checklist of things. Okay, I fasted during Lent. I did all this. Now the Lord loves me. But you're doing it for God's pleasure. You're not doing it for your own purification. That's why the Bible says in the New Testament, whatsoever you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Because God's pleasure is ultimately what we are seeking, or at least it should be that way. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say for right now. And well, no, I'll talk a bit more. I just an analogy just popped up in my mind, so I'll share this analogy. It's like, and I got this analogy from the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is the holy book of Taoism, or some people call it Taoism. It's an ancient Chinese religion, and I don't remember the exact words, but it's something like this: when you create a hole in the wall, it illuminates everything else. You say, what do you mean when you put a hole in the wall? Well, when you put a big hole in the wall, you add a window. So who would put a giant hole in the wall? Every home builder ever, because when you put a hole in the wall, you can put a window there, and your window, the sunlight that pours in, illuminates the entire room. That's why at some times during the day you don't need to turn your lights on or off. You can just let the natural light come in. And that's what I do in my videos. Very rarely do I put in, I mean, I am right now because it's 1 in the morning as of this video going up, but as of this video being filmed, um, it illuminates everything else. Similarly, when you fast, regardless of what you're fasting from, you're putting a hole in your spiritual heart, or not your spiritual heart, but you're renouncing something. So you're creating a hole. And God's grace, God's good pleasure, God's holiness will come and illuminate your life in a way that a light shines through a window. Again, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's from the Tao Te Ching. Now, obviously, the guy who wrote it, Lao Tzu, was not a Christian, but I feel like that passage from the Tao Te Ching is very true in a lot of ways. By fasting, we're eliminating something, we're creating a hole in our lives, but God's pleasure and God's illumination of our fasting is going to make everything shine much brighter. So, yeah, I hope all of you, if you're fasting, I hope that it all goes. And I mean, like, how often do we see questions like, rather than, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to watch TV? Rather than that, how often do we get like questions like, how can I make this Lent the most blessed season that I can ever experience? I mean, hardly ever do we hear questions like that. It's always, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to do that? It's just like a checklist that you've checked off. And well, I'm fasting because everyone else fasts, and I guess it's a habit. It's a cultural thing. Lent is a cultural thing to a lot of people. They just feel like it's just a ritual. It's a habit. Everyone else did it in the family. But you see, God has no interest in accepting a fast like that. He only, in my opinion at least, he only wants you to fast if you mean it, if you're sincere about it. Not to be, lukewarm and to just obey it because everyone else did it in the family. I mean, that's not a good reason to practice religiosity just because, your family did it or everyone else does it. Everyone else from your church does it. That's not pure motives. That's impure. So if you're going to fast, do it for God's pleasure. Do it because you want to please God. Do it because you want to get closer to God. So yeah, anyways, this time I really will go. When I say I've got all the things I need to get off my chest. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that all of you have a happy and blessed Eid and a blessed Ramadan if you are a Muslim. All right? Have a great day, guys. God bless you.